Hi, my name is Clary and today I want to attempt a makeup look. I call it an undetectable makeup look. It is actually inspired by the makeup look on some of the actresses in some of the movies that I saw. Originally, I'm very impressed by the look of Bruni Mora. I think that's her name, in the movie A Ghost Story. It's one of my favorite movies of all time because not only the story is so simplistic and powerful, but also the whole setting of the movie is so gloomy, is so dreading. It's so heavy, and somehow the fashion, the lighting, also, the framing is the 4-3 or like 3/4 framing that lasts for the entirety of the movie, that makes the message become very strong and potent. Also, Rooney Mara, I think she did an excellent job to portray how heavy the theme of the movie is. And I think the constructions of her character and her makeup is one of the components that put together the whole aesthetics of the movie. And when you look at her, you can see her suffering, you can see her grieving through different stages of that kind of emotion. And I think that's the most natural but most moody, most depressive makeup look that I could ever imagine. And I would want to somehow replicate that kind of look on my face today. I don't know why, but I'm very attracted to natural film makeup look like that. It's like, I just wonder, like, how can you make a makeup look so much like people in real life, but obviously it's just way better than if that's us going through the same emotions. I didn't go to art school, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like to make a makeup look the most natural and the most realistic, a matte finish is the optimum solutions. Somehow, potentially because of the absorption of light between a matte and a dewy finish, the matte finish ones tend to look more flawless, more realistic, more believable than the dewy one. The dewy one could be a little bit, fake and a little bit more fabricated. So I'm gonna apply some smoothing mattifying primer. I'm using the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. This is my reliable pore smoothing, pore erasing, and mattifying primer, but not too drying because I don't want a drying looking face right now, because yes, somehow on movie the skin of the characters, they all look very flawless, even though sometimes it looks very realistic. When you zoom in some of the very close-up scenes, they look, even though realistic, imperfectly perfect. So I want a nice smoothing look. But not too dry and too cakey. Like, I won't want any flaky skin at the moment. I use it mostly around this area, like on my cheeks, because I have a lot of pores around these two areas and a little bit on my T-zone. By the way, I did apply some lip oil. This is the Peach Honey and Milk lip oil from the Pure. I want to prep my lips with something quite thick and nourishing with a little bit of tint in it, so that it can bring out the natural color of my lips. But then later on I'm gonna wipe it out so that the lips still look plump, have a little bit of tint, look nourishing. but not too fade. That's my intention. And the next step is that I'm gonna apply some green powder to correct the redness on my skin. As you can tell, I have a lot of redness on my skin, and this is the main issue on my skin at the moment. Overall, to even the skin tone and to correct the overall skin tone, I feel like using green corrector would be very helpful just to balance the pigments on my skin at the moment. And I really appreciate this green powder because it's not too green, it's not too dark, and it's not too yellow because I have a lot of yellow pigments on my skin. My skin tone is light to medium with yellow to neutral undertone, quite warm. And this powder doesn't make my skin look any more yellow or any more warm. It just gently correct the redness. And I don't want to use too much of it either because I'm going to apply a complexion product on top. So I want, like I said, a matte finish, but not too matte because it can look powdery and cakey if I use too much, or I don't think I want to set my concealer with powder today, so using a powder underneath could really, really help to achieve that flawless finish that I mentioned. So I'm basically dusting this powder all over my face, but gently buffing it out so I don't, set it to any specific area on my skin, but rather buffing it out so that I have this smooth and mattified canvas. And all of my redness can be, in a way, corrected. I have tried this natural film makeup look before, and I have discovered certain combinations, certain complexion products that would really work and could help me to achieve this look. I'm going to use the Sport Zinc Sunscreen Stick. It's a tinted version from Cancer Council. It's a stick concealer like this. It's quite thick, and I think the color is very, very close to my natural skin tone. I'm gonna mix it with this Blemish cream from Klairs. It's very thin. It's like a tinted moisturizer. Doesn't have a lot of pigments in it and barely any coverage, but I just really like the texture of it. Mixing it with the sunscreen stick really help liquefy the texture. So the stick is a bit thick and creamy, and it does have a little bit of coverage, but coverage is not something I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for an evening combination. So I want something with like perfect shade match, but natural finished and natural coverage. That's what I mean. So I'm gonna gently dab it under my eyes because I feel like that's my most tired area. And if I want to look pretty good on a film set, I definitely want my under eyes to be covered. I hope you can see the difference, but I really like the natural sheer coverage of the product. I just feel like it's the right amount of coverage and the right amount of product. I don't feel like it's too thick under my eyes at the moment. Yeah, that's why it's very undetectable. Because if it's too much, if it's too covered, obviously you can tell that you're wearing some sort of high coverage product. I think the key of this kind of makeup look is to figure out what is your skin tone and what colors, what kind of tone, what kind of undertone would work on your skin. What is the natural gradations of color on your skin. So later on, when I apply some bronzer and blush, you can tell that it's helpful to start with something very light. And if you feel like your skin can tolerate a darker shade, you can build it out. But start with something light and natural just to figure out, oh, with the shade, do I need to build up the intensity or can I just leave it? And it does look like I'm not wearing something, but I do still look like I'm the best version of myself and I'm having the best skin day ever. And it's depending on the mood of the scene as well. I feel like if you want to portray something depressive, something very intense, something dramatic, the colors would lean towards whatever color that you set up the scene to be. I'm not an expert in like screening and, you know, directing, so I can only say that it depends on your directory vision, whether you want that scene to look a certain way. The makeup look and the tonal value of every single product on the face of the actress would potentially help boosting that mood of a scene. With the green color correcting powder, I don't feel like I need to use as much product as I would potentially do with my day-to-day makeup look, but I'm going to use a little bit more of this sunscreen stick just to provide a little bit more coverage on this area. I don't want to use too much product though, so just tiny bit. And now the color is a bit up. Like I said, I got the balance really close when I mix these two products together, and now I want to focus on one certain area and using just one product. I feel like I destroyed the balance a little bit, not too much though. But okay, maybe I can fix it with some color cosmetics. And I think I also need to make sure that whatever product that I have to conceal sunspots on my face, it needs to match the rest of my face. So now I'm just dabbing the residue product on the sponge to the rest of my face where I did not apply any product at all, just to make sure that they're all even. It's not going to be perfect because I was not professionally trained to do this kind of makeup look, but to me, this is the closest thing to that makeup look that I can do on my own using my current collections. So I think this is more of a prototype, more of a testing idea, just in case you watch this video and you was like, I have been wondering about that natural realistic film makeup look and I want to do something similar. This is just an idea, like a prompt to you to try it yourself, and I hope it turned out okay. I'm gonna add a little bit of brow gel to my eyebrows. This is the Essence Make Me Brow Eyebrow Jam Mascara. I have the shade number 2, Browny Brows. I do want to add a little bit of texture to my eyebrows because it does look a bit, you know, sad and quite uneven, to be honest. Like I do have eyebrow, I do have like hair on my eyebrows, but it just a bit uneven and I just want to fill in the gap a little bit. I want to keep the shape of my eyebrow. I'm not sure if they are done by a professional. It would be the thing that they would keep the natural shape of my eyebrows, but right now I don't think there's a major issue with my eyebrows. That's what I reckon. So it's just the unevenness. That's just one coat on each brow, but I feel like it helps a lot. Yeah, they look way fluffier, a little bit fluffier. I don't want to exaggerate the benefit of a brow gel, but it adds some color and some texture to the brow. But yeah, it's still convincing enough. Not necessarily what would be the perfect situation for my eyebrows, because I know there are more that I can done to them. I just refuse not to, and I think in films and movies they tend to have different styles of eyebrows, so there's no one trick pony, there's no one brow style that would fit every actors and actress. So I think in that way brows are quite forgivable in the way that you could do a lot of techniques. You could try a bunch of ways to aim up your eyebrows, and it can still look quite convincing on movies or on camera. And I think this is not too bad for my natural eyebrows. Okay, cheek color. I think I would choose brown as the main color of my cheek today, and I want to use like a very light brown to build up the color, the main color on my cheek, because usually you wouldn't see it unless intentionally they want to show you that the characters are wearing a lot of makeup. I think the cheek color is very, very subtle, like very natural, like barely anything at all. So I have this jewel from Florette. I'm going to use this cream to powder color. So the color is like this. It's like a rosy brown that I feel like, wow, it's could work on my skin tone. Is a barely there blush last bronzer. It might be a bit too light though. Maybe I'm gonna mix it with the deeper brown in this jewel. Let me see. Yeah, I think it would work. I might add another color if I feel like this is not enough. This is not natural enough for my skin. I think I'm gonna use a sponge. I picked the jewel because I know that they are not pigmented at all. They look slightly pigmented. They do look like they have some sort of color on the pants, but actually on the skin they are very, very subtle. You can easily blend them out. I think they are too brown. I believe you can barely see anything. It's very subtle. Don't think it would be big up on the camera, but on the mirror and what I can see right now, it's just a little bit too brown for my complexions. Probably because I have a lot of redness, and too much orange and yellow pigment would be a little bit too contrast. Not like contrast, because yellow and orange are quite close to red. Maybe it's just too red overall. I need like a bluish color to neutralize that warmth on my skin. But in a way, I think this color helps sculpt my face a little bit, so I am using it right now as a subtle contour. So yeah, just right here underneath my cheekbones. Oh, I add too much. Now I need to clean it up a little bit. If you look in the mirror and you feel like, oh, I can see colors, that's when, you know, for this makeup look, it becomes too much. You want everything to be, to me, I think I envision something very, very subtle, like barely there. That's why I call it undetectable. If you detect any changes, any differences in your face, it means it's just a little bit too much. I plan to use this lipstick. This is the Merit Signature Lip in the shade Baby as my lip color because it's just my favorite, also my perfect, my lip better. It's very, very close to the natural color of my lips, and I think it would be the obvious options for this look. I'm gonna use a little bit of this color on my cheek. Like I said, this is a, to me, a very coolish pink leaning mauve. So if I can just add a little bit of color like this on my cheek at the moment, I think everything can be neutralized. Ooh, I think it worked. And this is the one time that I won't drag the color across the bridge of my nose because that is such a makeup technique that looks like makeup. And I like it. Like, I like wearing a bunch of blood. But for this look today, I think somehow this side is always a little bit dark for my liking. So whatever clean surface area on the sponge right now, I'm going to use it to remove the pigments. Okay, good again. So now it's just building that mauvey color on the cheek again to make it very even. This is so subtle, and I hope it makes sense when you see me going through some of the steps. I feel like you can barely see it on the camera, but it's definitely something on my skin, and I think, it's gonna take a while to see the difference. That's why I feel like with this technique, with this natural film makeup look, it would take you longer than your normal makeup routine, because if it's very natural, it requires a lot of fixing or require a lot of erasing. If you just slap a bunch of colors and a bunch of cosmetic products on the skin, and don't get me wrong, it's just my favorite thing to do as well, I think somehow it's easier just to create something beautifully natural and undetectable without using a bunch of products. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the eye though. Okay, here's my vision. Okay, I don't know. I'm so indecisive. I plan to use this cream eyeliner just to add a little bit of brown color to my eyelid, maybe like very close to my eyeliner area, and then I'm gonna buff it out. I'm not sure. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe it's gonna be too intense. Maybe I should just use a one matte brown eyeshadow. But I feel like using a cream eyeshadow, like you can tell I used a bunch of cream products already, because I feel like cream products, if it's not too glossy or dewy on top of a matte canvas, they all look very, very realistic and natural, because sometimes the character, they just have a very good skin day. They just drink a bunch of water and they do look quite naturally healthy. So it's the right balance, it's the right mix of dewy and matte. So I think using a cream product for the eyes might work. Okay, I'm just going in. I'm not gonna use too much, just a little amount, and make sure I keep it very close to the eye. And I'm not gonna bring it all the way to the inner corner. I'm just gonna focus on the outer corner, because it's where you can increase the depth of your eyes the best, by just focusing on that corner. I will do the same thing on the other eyes, and okay, I'll just do it. Like, I do have some thoughts on what I just did, but right now I just need to focus on doing the same thing. I do think overall I looked like I wear some sort of eye makeup, but it's very, very subtle, and I think it worked using the cream gel eyeliner, because it stick to my this area, which you call it, like very close to my waterline, and it does enhance the look of my face. But I think I blended out too far to the eyelid, and now it looks like I have some sort of an eye, sorry, some sort of eyeshadow going on. I think it might help if I, yeah, tap it out using a sponge. I think with this makeup look, I think a sponge, a damp sponge, is very helpful, because it can help you clean up and correct a lot of intensity build up that is unwanted. Like I mentioned, I'm gonna use the Mary Signature Lip in the shade Baby. It's my lip color, but something that I want to try. Maybe it's wrong. Once again, I'm testing a bunch of things at the moment. I could be wrong, but I want to use a lip liner. Somehow I got a feeling that if you just wear one plain lip color, it looks quite obvious that you're wearing something without a very defined lip shape. So I think I want to try to line my lips, but in a very, very natural way, to potentially contour my lips, just to see, is it helping with the natural shape of my lips? Does it look the lip shape any better? Or even to help the color. Like I said, the Merit Baby shade is very close to my lip color. So you can see I have a bit of a pink bruisey look to my natural lips. But I'm afraid that the Merit one, it could look a little bit too cool tone and too muted. It quite desaturated on my lips. That's why it can look a bit scary. Like, I look a bit, you know, sick if I wear too much of that lip color. With the right amount, I feel like it's okay. But I'm using this NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner in the shade Soft Spoken. It's a warmer brown, so I hope that the warmer brown versus the coolish mauve tone, they can interact with each other and give a semi-natural, semi-neutral color to my lips. But I'm not using too much because I don't want to overline my lips. I don't know. Do you think I overlined my lip? Actually, I'm gonna add a little bit of this Florette lip liner in the shade Coffee because this is an even lighter brown. Hopefully, it can tone down the next soft spoken shade because the soft spoken shade is a medium brown, very neutral but medium nevertheless. Yeah, so I'm basically blurred out my lip lines at the moment. It's very strange because lip liners, before the whole lip contouring technique was even introduced to the public, people never tend to blur out their lines. So everything people wanted was a very sharp, very hyper defined lip look, but now they discover lip contouring and somehow they want to like, oh, I just want to naturally draw in the line and just to gently reshape my lips. Everything becomes a little bit more demure, a little bit more natural, which is so strange. Anyway, I'm gonna add this color. Ooh, oh, it's such a gorgeous color. And the finish is so natural as well. It's a satin finish. So not too matte, not too glossy. But it does look very, very cool and nourishing on my lips. And I think that's, even some little dabs like that is a bit too much. And I think of taking some off my lips, but I think this is the most stunning lip color that I have. Another thing that is also very cool about the formulations of the Mary Signature lip is that it does look a bit matte, but it fills in the wrinkles on my lips, so it does look very, very convincing and realistic in a way that I don't look like I'm trying to like plump my lips using anything. You can see the grooviness on my lips, but it's not too obvious, it's not too much. It has been done in a way that looks very, very fulfilled and, you know, well prepped. Could also be the fact that I use a lip oil before I apply the lipstick. That's why it does look a bit more smoothed. But I have to tell you, the Mary Signature lip, such great formula. And I think that's it. Right now, looking close up, I think it's not obvious at all that I'm wearing some sort of makeup. I think it does look like I'm wearing nothing. But if you look very, very closely, maybe you can tell. But like from afar, or if I'm about to film something and if the camera is set up at a certain angle, I don't think it's very detectable. I think it's convincing enough that I'm wearing nothing, but I'm looking like somewhat of a better version of myself, and I'm quite proud of it. Like, I put a lot of time and effort into making this look as realistic as possible and to encapsulate the natural and realistic film / movie makeup look that I proposed in the beginning. I'm quite happy with the result. I think my mistake is to overdo the lips. So I think I have this hyperfixations on, oh, I want my lips to look a certain way. So I did 2 lip liners and I have another lipstick on top. I think the lipstick is fine. It's just 2 lip liners, a bit much. So right now, I don't know what you think. Like, I think my lips are the most made up parts of my makeup look right now. Anyway, I am enjoying this makeup look and I'm enjoying to know more about this technique because I will hopefully, and I think guaranteedly, using this technique to create more and more makeup look because somehow I'm so inspired by the visions of this makeup look. And I think I have this eye on movies and everything cool and interesting in movies that I could learn from, and makeup is one of the best passions in my life, and now incorporated it with movies and the translations of the message through the makeup. I think that is such a combination to learn more from. That's just on me though. Like, I'm sorry for the tangent. Once again, I'm Claudia and hopefully we see each other again. Bye.